Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of Think and Grow Rich Live. My name is Dr. Peter A. James, and welcome to another Saturday morning of diving into this infamous book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you have never, I always say this, if you have never picked up a copy of this phenomenal text, today is your day. Why is that so important? Because this book is the backbone of too much success. It is the backbone of business success, career success, family success. And it is one of the premier self-help books of the century, the last century. I could keep going on for sure. But I'm excited that you're here with us this morning. Today, we're going to dive on into a new chapter since we're in a new month. And that chapter is decision. It's the decision principle. And Napoleon Hill starts off this chapter early on by saying procrastination is the opposite of decision. Let me say that again. Procrastination is the opposite of decision, and it is a common enemy which practically every individual must conquer. And today, we're going to talk with a special guest a little bit later on about how this decision is so important, how decision is important in our life, not any particular decision, but just decision in general is so important in our lives. And I'm hoping that you'll dive on into this conversation and really unpack it for yourself. But I am not alone by any stretch of the imagination today. I have Louise Jimenez. How are you doing on this fine Saturday morning, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Peter. Doing fantastic. Celebrating our nation's one more birthday. Having fun this weekend. And you're absolutely right. He starts the chapter of decision, Napoleon, with home runs, one home run after another home run. And he starts the chapter saying that after analyzing the study of 20 over 25,000 people, the lack of decision is near the head of the list of the 30 major causes of failure. So, indecision is one of the reasons why people don't and cannot succeed in life. So, I am super excited to start a new chapter, a new month as well, with an amazing, amazing host that we have today.
But really quickly before we go too deep there, Luis, I have to tell you, my friend, it's easy to be indecisive.
Very,
It's easy to be hesitant,
yes,
afraid to make a decision. You're scared. Listen, I know many people. Listen, I've even been in that position before
yes.
where I was hesitant, I was nervous, I was just afraid of what could possibly happen, afraid of the unknown.
Hmm.
And that really has slows people down. I was going to say hesitates people from making the decision. They would rather hold off to see what would happen than take that calculated risk. And especially in your career and your business, calculated risks are so important. Would you not agree?
I agree 100% with you. It's we want to be certain, right? Certain that we're not going to fail. That's part of the reason why we're hesitant. Hesitant. Absolutely, I've been there plenty
Mm,
of times, especially in my 20s, 30s. Like, am I going to go the right? Is it going to pay off? Is it going to go right? And it goes for everything, right? People
yeah.
might think that goes to just business, but it goes to relationship. How many times, I don't know if that happened to you, but asking that girl out because she might say no, right? Or what if she, and it goes for everything. Calculated risk, just like you said. But one of the things that I like to think is you have the no already, right? But if we flip that switch and we say, well, how many no's? I am away from one yes. That
Mm,
goes translates to sales, translates to
yeah.
start your own business, to ask for the promotion. But also, indecision comes to me as well, Peter, as lack of action. lack of action. When we're not prepared, when we're not ready, it's very easy to be hesitant, right? Because one thing is not have the preparation, and the other one is like, am I ready to jump off to the next level in my career? Am I Can I ask for the promotion? Can I ask for a bigger salary, for a raise? That kind of stuff. It's, believe it or not, it's indecision. It's not taking action. So
Yeah.
that's how it translates to me. So that's how we want to start today.
I love that. The other thing that really bothers me about decision making for individuals is then when they make a decision and it doesn't go quite the way they had expected,
Mm.
then they beat themselves up about what they should have done,
Yes,
how they
yes.
could have
It's
done
a
it
big one.
differently. And there's really no reason to beat yourself up about what happened yesterday. Instead, it's important to say, hey, what am I going to do next? What's next? What are my choices next, and what do I need to do next? So excited to dive on in there. Looks like we have another special guest with us this morning there, Louise. Looks like we have someone in places unknown. Good morning, Ann McNeil. Can you come off of mute and let us know how you are doing this morning?
Oh my. Listen, how am I doing this morning? I think you can already almost guess. I am actually in your time zone. And good morning,
Welcome.
world. This is Ann McNeil. And where in the world is Ann where are we? We're in Alton, Illinois today. And it is such an exciting day in a different time zone. So I'm here, I'm excited, and I am just excited. So
That's the question every week, isn't it? Where is Anne McNeil?
Where in the world is Ann McNeil there? Yes, indeed. Yes,
it's so
indeed.
wonderful. But guess what? Guess what? Just guess what? I am actually here in Alton, Illinois with our Palm Beach Life Planners.
Hmm.
We have been together for almost 20 years, some of us 30, and we're having our mid-year mastermind meeting here in Alton, Illinois, at Sharon Jackson's home. And all of us, we have 100% participation here. And it has just been very exciting. Actually, would you mind if I just take a moment and share with you my view? How about that? Can I do that?
Well,
Is
remember we
that?
have a distinguished guest who's with us today, Ann McNeil.
I know, and the guests we get all the time, but I just,
Go for it. This is your show. This is your world, Ann McNeil.
Right?
if I knew how to turn my camera around,
Oh my goodness.
uh, how about if I turn around? How about that?
How about that? That's peaceful.
That's the word, peaceful. So on with the show. Thank you so
Yes.
very much for allowing me to share. I'm so excited to talk about this principle. So let's get to it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's dive on into this decision principle a little bit deeper. But without further ado, let me allow me to introduce you to Sean O'Hare. Sean is an executive coach to CEOs and a senior leader at the Napoleon Hill Institute. With a strong foundation in personal development and business leadership, Sean combines timeless success principles with modern executive strategies to help top level leaders unlock their full potential. Drawing from the legacy of Think and Grow Rich, he empowers CEOs to cultivate clarity, purpose, and high performance habits that drive sustainable growth, both personally and professionally. I'm sure he's got plenty of stories about this decision making process. Without further ado, Sean O'Hare, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hello, Peter. All is well. It's a pleasure to be on this show with you all. I've seen many of the shows that you've all done before, and they're exceptional, and you learn so much with the great knowledge that you share. So it's a pleasure to be here with you all.
And thank you so much there, Sean. You are joining us from another part of the world. Usually we're saying where in the world is Anne McNeil, but we also have to ask where in the world is Sean O'Hare today?
Yes, I am based in the north of Ireland in County Tyrone, so a good bit away from you all there in America, but I am here and I am well.
And we are so excited to dive on into who Sean is a little bit really quickly. Sean, let me just let you and my angels here on the show know that we have phenomenal folks on YouTube today. We have Carla Hill, we have Lynn Whitfield. Good morning to you all. Erica Enriquez, Laura Jackson, Shannon Charlton, Meadow Wilson. Good morning to you all. Diane King Flowers and Dr. Victoria Long Coleman. I hope you all are doing well on YouTube land. Please don't hesitate to bring in your questions about decision, but also your questions to Sean as we dive into who Sean is and what he does so specially. And Sean, I was excited to read your bio as well. It seems like you do a lot of work with businesses, organizations, but particularly those leaders in those organizations. How does decision, right off the top, Sean, I'm going to ask you a question. What have you seen from decision that makes a great leader and maybe makes a leader not so great relative to decision? What initially comes to mind as you reflect on what they do or what they don't do?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing is that they procrastinate in the decision that they have to make
Mm,
because they think that they need to make the right decision. But the more you're in the business world, the more you're in the self-development world, you realize that no decision is the right decision
mm,
because every decision you're going to learn. So even if you make the decision and it turns out not to be the correct decision, you learn something from it. So when we have A and we have B, they struggle with what's the right decision to make. But as Napoleon Hill states that successful people make decisions fast and change them slowly if and when they change them at all. And
mm,
unsuccessful people barely make decisions, and if they do, they change them fast and often. So when I speak to business leaders, I tell them just make the decision and then you can connect the dots. But the first step is to make it. Don't think too much of it. Make the decision fast. But they struggle with what decision is the right decision. And
mm.
although it's good to be logical about our decisions as well, but in the business world, as you know yourself, decisions need to be made fast for the business to run. So don't spend too much time thinking what's the right decision, but spend your time in making the decision.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that there, Sean. I was talking with another colleague recently, and we were mulling over the whole adage of hire slow and fire fast. And from an organizational perspective, if you're a leader, you want to make sure that you are making the correct hire, and so hire slow. But if you have an employee that's a bad seed, no need to hold on to them. It's important to get rid of them sooner rather than later because that could permeate throughout the entire organization. I'm hearing a little bit of that in your dialogue as it relates to making those decisions sooner rather than later and then connecting the dots later. Is that somewhat accurate?
Yes, absolutely. There's been many decisions that I've made, and it has
Mhm.
turned out, okay, that was the wrong decision, but it wasn't really wrong because of the knowledge that I learned, the experience that I had received. So when you change your perspective on a right decision or a wrong decision, my perspective now is they're just both decisions, and either way, I'm going to learn. One time it's going to be right, and the other time I'm going to learn. So for me, no matter what decision I make, it's never wrong. Because if I reap the benefit of knowledge, then it was never a wrong decision.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, th Sean, we're going to come back to this conversation, but I want to bring Ann back in to introduce this phenomenal video that we show every single week, if possible. And Ann, do you mind teeing this up for us a little bit, please?
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Let's start with, excuse me, the decision to actually focus on your desire. And this is the video that we're going to watch. We're going to ask all of you, please remember to comment, like, and share, subscribe to the YouTube, but also share this video as it is playing, because it will give you in about 4 minutes an entire review of the 13 principles and why we come on every single Saturday to share one principle and a phenomenal guest. So, starting with desire, hold on, listen up, and enjoy this video.
Number one is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire. a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the mastermind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the wild, wild west days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
Alrighty, we are back and having this phenomenal conversation with Sean. Sean, I gotta let you know they named an airport after you in Chicago in the US. Just want to let you know that before we move forward.
Well, that's a great thing to know.
They
If
need to
I'm
put your face there. I don't know why they're not. So I'll try to see if I can get in touch with the right people. Louise,
perfect.
I want to bring you into the conversation, my friend, and
Yes.
having some dialogue with Sean here. And he's already started out and talking about leaders and CEOs and their decision making. Bring
Mm-hmm.
in your questions for Sean, please.
Absolutely. I love that. Remember, I love the caught my attention because that goes straight to what Napoleon says that people let other things, other people, the newspapers, the media, everything, right, to make decisions for them when we don't have a strong will, when we don't apply our own decisions. But I would like to go a little bit back on Sean. How did you get in contact with Napoleon Hill with this amazing book? How was your story about it?
Absolutely. So this goes back 8 years ago, and this is how I got introduced to self-development. I had really poor mindset. I was suffering with anxiety every single day, depression, but I didn't have a goal. And as Napoleon Hill says, if you don't have a goal, you are a drifter. So I was just really bad anxiety, and thank you so much to my parents that helped me. They picked me up, and one day a woman came across and asked me to write a blog post about my journey with mental health so that I could help other people. And when I was writing this blog post, I still needed help. But what happened was when I wrote the blog post, I then gained understanding of what was happening. So then the blog post went out public. It got over 1 million views. And then that is when I got in contact with Cleona O'Hara, my mentor at the moment. And she then became my mentor. She helped me so much, as well as Bob Proctor. And from there, I was just under two great leaders, learning everything off Cleona, learning everything off Bob. And then, as we grew in friendship and leaders, Cleona then became the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Institute. And Cleona found me the perfect fit to assist her. And that's how I got introduced with the Napoleon Hill Institute. I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 13 years of age. And every single day, I made a decision, the great topic that we are on, that I will keep reading Think and Grow Rich every single day, and I will keep studying every single day. So that is how I have got introduced to self-development, Think and Grow Rich, and the amazing Napoleon Hill Institute.
I love it. I love it. You were lost and you were young and you had the blessing to learn. Imagine, Peter, we would have gotten into our life, this book, this amazing knowledge at the age of 13. Amazing. I want to one thing before we move on. So, I even wrote it down. So, make the when you don't have a goal, make the decision. That will be the first decision. Make the decision to have a goal, even if it's the wrong goal. When we are not used to make decisions and we don't have goals, well, that's what we're gonna learn, right? Especially if you're young. What would be a good goal? Finish school, go to the next grade, move on, be part of a team, something that is not of big consequence. But that desire, when we start acting on it, the big desire will come one day, right? But we need to start making the decision, that kind of decisions. That's what I got. That's my perspective of it. Thank you, Sean, and I love to hear these stories about how people get in contact with Napoleon Hill and his work. Thank you. Moving to Anne, Miss Anne.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sean, I'd like to have you share a struggle or challenge or problem um, that you've had to make a tough decision about. And regardless of how the decision went, can you share with us a particular situation that you've had to face utilizing these principles? Because I think it's critically important for our audience to understand step one, step two, step three for you. What did that look like?
Absolutely, and that is an incredible question. And the first thing that struck out in my mind was following my purpose, following my desire. But when I had that desire, when I had that purpose, I was working a full-time job. I was earning a weekly income, but I wanted to follow my purpose. I wanted to follow why I am here. So I had to make a decision to quit my job, to not earn anything, and to believe that I could make a living from my purpose. So what happened, the first thing that happened was fear came into my mind. It was, okay, if you quit your job, you're going to have no money, you're going to have no income. So how can you follow your purpose? How can you follow your dreams with no income, with no money? So that's the first thing that came into my mind. And then I realized that I would rather give up everything and follow my dreams than to drift and wake up every morning not wanting to go to work. Earning an income but not being happy. So I made the decision, and it was a very tough decision, to quit my job and just have faith, which is another principle of Think and Grow Rich. And what I love about Think and Grow Rich is that all of the principles tie in together. If you have one principle, you need the other. If you have decision, you need desire. If you have desire, you need faith. So it was very hard for me, but what got me to make that decision was I imagined my life of my dreams, my purpose, and I imagined the life that I'm living now. And I said, 20 years from now, if I'm still in this job, am I going to be happy? No. 20 years from now, if I even, not, I don't like to use the word try, but if I tried to work out my dreams, and 20 years from now, if they did work out, imagine the life that I would be living. I'd be helping lives, I'd be changing lives. And for me, my purpose is to help other people. So that's the first thing. And I imagine myself when I was 13 and I was struggling, all I wanted was someone to help me. So if I can be that person for someone else, then I want to be that person. So the thought of me helping other people and staying in my job, my purpose outweighed the two. So I just decided that no matter what happens, I'm going to fulfill my purpose, even if I don't even earn an income.
Okay, thank you. That leads me to my follow-on question, because many of us have been there and some of us are there now. And you reminded me of my own situation in corporate and reading this book for the first time and deciding to leave that job. But I want to go back to the principle before this principle, which is none other than organized planning. And you hit the nail on the head as you tied and weaved the principles together, right, in making a decision. And then you talked about the imagination, imagining what would it look like 20 years in the future. So I want to go back to once you made the decision, I have heard a phrase I'd like to use that says, once you make the decision, the way will present itself. I like to say, once you make the decision, for me, Ann McNeil, God will show a way. And again, like you said, there's no right way or wrong way, if you will. You make the way right. Once you make the decision, you make the decision right. So can you take us back to the plan, right? You made the decision. And once you made the decision, did you just wake up and leave your job, or did you develop a plan, possibly with your mastermind group, or what did you do?
Absolutely. And I love what you said, you make the way right. And that is so true. And one thing that is very important is that decision is a frequency. So if you want this, you need to get onto the frequency in order to achieve it. But if you're here dreaming of here, it ain't going to happen. You need to get into your thought process on that frequency. And you all know Steve Harvey, incredible. And he was looking for a new car, but he had an old car in the garage and it wasn't even drivable. And he was looking to manifest this new car, but it wasn't happening for him. But as soon as he got rid of the old car, boom, his new car came right in. So you need to make room for what you're looking for. So if I'm dreaming of something and I'm dreaming of this new career, I need to make room for it. So going back to the organized planning, of course, organized planning is so important. So what I said to myself was, okay, I'm going to earn this much to get me by the first month. So I said to myself, okay, no matter what happens, I have 1 month to get my act together. I have 1 month to make things happen. So, which was a great thing, was it was a little bit of pressure as well to make things happen in that month, and pressure forms diamonds. So that bit of pressure was good pressure. Pressure forms diamonds in the earth's core, and it's the exact same with our lives. You need that little bit of pressure. Because what happens is when I had that pressure, I had to take action. There was no such thing as procrastination, it was decision. Wake up every morning, make a decision. who am I going to help today? That was what was in my mind. Not how much money am I going to make today? It's who am I going to help today? And the product of service is money. So the more people you help, the more money you'll earn. But it's not about the money, it's about your purpose. And the more you fulfill your purpose, the result of that is your income. So my organized planning was, okay, let's work for, I think it was like, let's work for 3 months, save up enough to cover my costs for 1 month, and I have 1 month to make it work, 30 days. And I just kept helping people. I kept reaching out to people. I was mentored by Cleona O'Hara, incredible. She learned me so much. She helped me so much on my journey. And when you mastermind, you know, 1 plus 1 is 11 because the ideas that flow, there's a third energy in that room. It's incredible. The ideas start to come. But the first step, in order to make things come to you, you need to allow room, allow them to come into your life. So just as you said, make the way right and make the decision prior to what you're looking. So if you're looking a new house and you don't have the money yet, say to yourself, I'm buying the house. And then everything else will take care of itself because you got onto the decision frequency. So that was my organized planning and how I got to where I am today.
Thank
Sean,
you.
wow. This is phenomenal. I'm actually just you're having me go through a whole lot of stuff in my head from the decision to make it, the goals, the things that I would like to accomplish in the near future, even in the long term. Some Oh, I have to come back to you because something you said just resonated with me. Before I acknowledge that or we acknowledge that question, I want to make sure that I acknowledge Angela Sturgis and Jeannie Snyder. They are on the webinar today. Thank you so much for being with us, as always. And then we have a question coming in the chat and from Lynn Whitfield. I'm going to present it to you a little bit there, Sean. But one of the things that really, really resonated with me, Sean, is this: is you know, y- you said it, and I'm paraphrasing you right now, but that following your own dreams, following your own goals, even when the path is not clear, is freeing. And many of us don't do it. We just go for the low-hanging fruit, what's closest. Instead of following our career or following our mind to start that new job, nah, I'll just go work for somebody. And I'll keep working for somebody. Instead of going after that, individual who you have an affinity for, I'm hesitating, I'll procrastinate on that. I heard you say that about yourself and how you follow your own dreams. Talk more about that really quickly and the importance of that for people because so many of us stew in not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is it wouldn't come to your mind if it wasn't possible to achieve. We
Mm,
have dreams in order to achieve them, not to just dream about them. So I always told myself, what's the point in me dreaming about this if I'm never going to achieve it? And something you said there was always reach for the high branch. And
mm.
that's my mother always told me that. Always reach for the high branch because if not, you'll catch one on the way down. And what I always told myself was, what's the worst that's going to happen? That job is always going to be there for me. I can always go back into a
Mm.
dead end job if I needed. I can always go back to that life. But why not take a leap of faith? And you need to have faith in your faith. So act on it. Don't just say you have faith, but have faith in your faith. So that's what I done. I believed in the principles of Think and Grow Rich, and then I acted with the faith that I believed in.
Love that. Love that. Have faith in your faith. Sean, you got some good ones this morning, my friend. Let me bring this question in from our audience member, Lynn Whitfield. She's always got great insights, always got great questions. Her question is, how does one get past the fear of the unknown? We're kind of talking about this a little bit, but how does one get past the fear of the unknown enough to make the decision if they haven't developed their own self-confidence or that faith that you mentioned there, Sean?
Mm. Yes, absolutely. And I've worked with many people, and the one thing that blocks everyone is fear. But fear is what you make it. What do you believe fear to be? Do you believe it that it's stopping you? Is it a wall in front of you? Or do you believe it to be a launch pad to reach success? Change your belief in fear. I don't believe that fear stops me. When I come into fear, and I come into fear a lot, and I love it because fear for me means face everything and rise. So
Mm,
fear isn't something that stops me, but fear is something that straight away when I feel it is face everything and rise. Fear is there in order for us to rise. Fear comes into us to try and stop us from growth. So you have to realize when you come into fear, you're growing. Fear is good. Fear is a launch pad to success for growth. And our brain is built for survival. So the unknown is scary for us because we're going outside our comfort zone. So your brain is built for survival, not for success. But you need to build your mindset for success. How do you do that? Through repetition, emotionalization, self-confidence you brought up there. Napoleon Hill has the self-confidence formula. Why did he put that in there? For repetition, emotionalization, say it to your subconscious mind over and over and over again, and you will become it. And once you have self-confidence and faith, you're no longer scared of fear. You're no longer scared of the unknown. And faith and fear both believe in something that you cannot see. So for me, I used to have fear in the unknown, but now I have faith in the unknown because it's a choice, faith or fear. You can either have faith in the future or you can have fear of the future. It's up to the decision again on the topic of decision. And a great um person, I can't remember the person at the moment, but they said to me that life is the C between B and D, birth and death. And in the middle, you have a choice. You have a choice of how you're going to live. You have the choice of the life you want to create. All it is a choice. Every day, every second, we make a choice. Right now, if you'd never made a decision again in your life, you would stay exactly where you are. You would stay exactly on that seat. You would stay exactly in the room. Everything's a decision. You decide to go outside. You decide to eat food. Everything is a decision. But decision is also a habit buried in our subconscious mind. So have faith in the future and not fear. And it is always a choice.
wow, that's heavy. I'm gonna go over to Louise there really quickly, Sean, but something I want to repeat that you said, you don't have fear of the unknown, but you have faith in the unknown. Powerful stuff, Louise.
Very powerful stuff. Thank you, Sean, for that. That is amazing. Because how old are you right now, sir?
I just turned 21 in April.
See, look at this young guy speaking with authority in what he knows, and that's always something that has amazed me about you, Sean. That you're so young and you are applying into your life these principles. Decision. What is Yeah, I don't know so much as well as Peter that I'm digesting right now. And so many uh, different things that you have. I love this acronym that you have. The life is basically from point B to D, right? Yeah. What is this the last decision that changed Sean's life? The latest one that you said my life was going this way, but when I made this decision, it turned this way.
Yeah. One thing that, especially where I am from, is the culture of where I am from. A lot of people have opinions. Everyone has the right of opinions,
Of course.
but especially in this industry, when you're showcasing yourself, you must make a decision to either follow your inner self or to follow the crowd. And there's going to be a lot of criticism when you express yourself to the public. So one decision that I made very, very recently, and I'm on this podcast now, but if I didn't make that decision, I wouldn't be on this podcast. I wouldn't be on the same frequency here as yourself, Louise, as the great Anne McNeil and the great Dr. Peter. So that decision got me into opportunities. And every decision you make opens up opportunities. So the decision that I made was okay, will I sit back and not express myself because I'm afraid of other people's opinions and criticisms of me? Or will I make the decisions to be free, to not care what people think, so that I can grow in myself, grow in opportunities, grow in friendship, grow in success, grow in my career, grow in business? If I did not make that decision, I would not be on this call with you all today. I wouldn't have got this opportunity to speak to other people. I wouldn't have got this opportunity to help people that are on this call. So it's so important. And Napoleon Hill talks about the fear of criticism. If I had have been a victim of the fear of criticism, I would not be able to help people. My purpose is to help people. So if I want to help people through these principles, I need to be a product of the principle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the decision that completely changed everything for me.
Yeah. Be a product of the product, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it because you're absolutely right. When you were started talking, that's exactly what I wanted. Like the fear of criticism. Napoleon talks about this at the end of the book, the six ghosts of fears, right? Like what are those? And we all have one. We all have one that is what we're more scared of to make the decision. You touch on something really important. Most people are extremely avoid criticism. They're scared of it, but it's that story that they have been creating in their heads. That is what it comes from procrastination, right? You said it earlier. People procrastinate. When you're not procrastinating, you're creating this story, and you make a big, beautiful, or horrible story of what it was, or what it could be. I'm sorry, what it could be. And at the end is that what you said earlier. It's fear or faith. What are you believing? I love what you said that earlier, and we didn't touch much on that. So I'm gonna pass it. We have a question on here on YouTube. Victoria says, from what you've seen, how do successful people learn to make confident decisions without being too quick or too stuck in their way?
Hmm.
Great question.
Can you just repeat that one more time?
Absolutely, absolutely. From what you've seen, how do successful people learn to make confident decisions without being too quick or too stuck in their ways?
Love it. Love that question. For me personally, working closely with Cleona O'Hara and the Napoleon Hill Institute, the way she makes decisions is inspirational.
It is.
When she steps into the decision, she steps into the decision with faith. She doesn't think of what could happen, what if, but she has faith that this decision is correct. And even if the decision go doesn't go as planned, the amount of knowledge, the amount of positivity we get from that is incredible. So the self-confidence formula is there for a reason because that is what is also needed to make decisions. You must have confidence in your ability to make the decision, and you must have confidence that the decision will work out. And it ties back into the principle of faith and the principle of desire. So, from what I have seen with Cleona make decisions is incredible. It will come to her and she acts upon it. She doesn't wait. She says, I'm making this decision. And she does it. She makes the decision there and then. She doesn't wait. She doesn't overthink. And overthinking is actually worry. That is exactly what overthinking is worry. And what happens from worry? Destruction. But when you have faith in the decisions, make decisions firmly, make them fast. And Napoleon Hill says the world has the habit of making room for the man who shows through his actions and words where he is going, and he generally gets it. So if you know where you're going and you make the decision on that fast and firmly, the decision will work out. So from
Yes.
what I've seen, make decisions fast, make them firm, and have faith. Fast, firm with faith.
Lovely. What a beautiful answer. What a right answer. And to complete that, or to get a perspective of, they ask people at, when they're in the deathbed, old people, what is the biggest regret? And it's not making the decision, not like spending too much time working and not going for what they really wanted to do. Imagine when we're old and we reflect on this and we say, what if I could have tried?
Mm,
And that, to me, that I think that's one of those things that, oof, is heavy. It's heavy. Thank you for that answer, Sean. Miss Anne, deep stuff here.
Yes, I'd like to ask a different question regarding platforms and favorite books. So, could you share, other than this book, a favorite book and why, a favorite quote and why, and a favorite platform and why?
Mm,
Book, quote, platform.
yeah. So Think and Grow Rich obviously is great, but another book, I'll just look at my books here. Another great book for me is The Power of Now. And the reason it's a very powerful book is because there's no such thing as the past and there's no such thing as the future. They are illusions. You can never live in the future and you can never live in the past. All we have is right now, right here, in the present moment. And what happens in the present moment? Decisions, the topic that we are on. And we decide our future life. And we decide what we learn from our past. So if we focus on the now and we focus on the present, which is all we ever have, everything will work out. Don't worry about the future. Have faith in the future. But we must understand that it is all in our control right now in the present moment. So that is a very powerful book. And one of my favorite quotes is actually from Napoleon Hill. And not many people really know this quote, but obviously we've all heard whatever the mind can conceive and believe the mind can achieve. But one quote for me from Napoleon Hill is tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. Deeds and not words are what matter most. So deeds and not words are what matter most. So talk about your goal, think about your goal, but also act on it. And action is the opposite of procrastination. Decision is the opposite. Decision and action. Decide and do. Straight away, fast, firm, with faith. I always use them three words: fast, firmly, and with faith. Take action. So tell the world what you intend to do. Express your goals if you want. But first, before you do that, show it. Show the universe that you want it through your actions. Show your goal that it's yours with your actions. And a platform that I really love is this platform. And the reason it's this platform is because the amount of incredible like-minded people that come onto this platform, come onto this podcast that shares their own experiences, and not only their own experiences, but shares their own knowledge and their principles. Because so many of us have different perspectives on the principles and Think and Grow Rich. So this platform opens up them perspectives. It opens up the real deep knowledge of this book, and there isn't many platforms out there like that, if at all. But this platform dives into people's personal lives, how the principles has changed their lives, and we see many of that at the Napoleon Hill Institute. But having this live for people all around the world, with hundreds and thousands viewing in to see how these principles has changed their lives in the self-development industry, this platform, and I've looked at the past podcast, is incredible. The own personal journeys that you can see here, like the answers that people are seeking are on these podcasts. People can learn from my experiences, your experiences. So this platform is a platform that can change your life. Listening into other people's journeys, listening into the principles of Think and Grow Rich to gain a deeper understanding of the principles. So once I stumbled upon this platform, it blew me away.
Thanks so much for saying that there, Sean. Truly yeah, humbling to hear you say that, number one, but also humbling to hear your outlook, your perspective in life, especially from someone being so young, but on the cusp of even more greatness because of how you see the world. There are people who are twice your age who don't embrace the unknown as you've described. And
Mm.
so I congratulate you on even thinking about that. And let's talk about this annual meeting that we have every year in January, not a conference, not just an event, but an annual meeting from which we dissect our lives in multiple different ways. Share your perspective, Anne, if you could.
Listen, first, let me say, Sean, you have been such a jewel. And you remind me of many of the individuals who came to us as young people, um, as a part of this Think and Grow Rich process, as a part of the International Mastermind Association. And I mean, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old who are now adults, and their children are now here with us. And we all come together once a year, Sean, and everybody else who's listening, for an annual meeting for our life. And like Peter said, it's not a conference, it is a meeting. And I'd like to challenge every one of you to think about this. Where can you go and be held accountable with no judgment for your goals? And I shared as the podcast started that I'm actually here in Alton, Illinois with our mastermind group. Many of us have been together now for 20 some 30 years. And we are doing a mid-year meeting at the home of one of our members, and there's 6 of us. And last night we started going over our goals. And at this annual meeting, which is going to be held on January 9th and 10th, 2026, in Boca Raton, Florida, at the Embassy Suites Hotel on Yamato Road. And you can go to International Masterminders with an S and register, but bring your life in writing. When you register with us, we give you a survey and we give you a process to use to actually begin to start documenting your life. And it's very easy. It's yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But what's hard is to actually face yourself on the page in writing and really answer some tough questions like, have I had all of those health exams? And guys, you know which ones I'm talking about. And ladies, we also know which ones I'm talking about. Have you created a plan for your life? What about your death? All of these things we in the survey, we go through those. And so when you come to the annual meeting, please bring your family and friends. My desire here, as a part of this Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live podcast, is to encourage individuals to start a family and friends mastermind. You can also be in a free mastermind. We strongly support the Institute and also the Foundation, Napoleon Hill Institute and Napoleon Hill Foundation. We're certified with the foundation, of course. But when you talk about your life, and this is about your life more so than your business, because we contend that your life is your business. Can I say that again, somebody? Your life is your business. So as a part of the annual meeting, please plan to join us. And if you have any questions, you can, I like always putting my number in 786-546-0184. Glad to answer any questions. 786-546-0184. And back to you, Peter.
Where has the time gone? That's all I gotta say is where has this time gone? I just looked down at the clock and so we're there. So we have to get ready to land this plane. Louise, lots of aha moments today, lots of insight from Sean. What resonates with you, my friend, and how do we stay in touch with you?
Thank you. Yes, I'm Luis Jimenez. I'm here in Texas and regular all the platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. Luis Jimenez. My website is luisjimenezcoaching.com. And also I am a certified coach with a Napoleon Hill Institute, which I'm very proud to say that, an original member, founding member. And the story of Sean, how not having a goal, it's the biggest problem for people out there. It's not having a goal, not following, not having that burning desire. And again, I see just like Sean, I see all the principles as a puzzle, and they all go together, and you got to find the right spot for each one of them. So that make a decision to have a goal. That is so important. That's when you can actually impact youngsters, young people from start making decisions, and eventually you're gonna get used to make good decisions. Where experience come from? From screwing up, from making the wrong decision. So Don't be afraid, just like like Sean said, don't be afraid. That's what resonated more with me today.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, some powerful stuff there. And McNeil, where do we start? Where do we finish?
I have so many that I Sean, I could say you were a jewel, and so many of the points you made today have resonated with so many of us. And that you can see the chat itself on YouTube and also Facebook is lighting up. But a couple for me, and I did put it in the chat, and one was have faith in faith. Have faith in faith. Another comment you made was, today you have the opportunity to test your capacity to reach quick decisions in terms of facing the fear. One of the other ones, and I could go on and on. Peter, I won't. I'll just share. I'll continue to share your comments here on LinkedIn, Sean, because again, uh, and I think someone mentioned it, it was Lewis that mentioned it, for your age, you are a living testament of what can happen if you study these principles. But not just study them, but also live in the principles and not allow fear to override your decisions to focus on your desire. One last one, you talked about the self-confidence formula, and for many of us, we live in that formula every day. But have faith in your decisions. And I'll end with that one. Have faith in your decisions. The world makes a way for those who make fast, firm decisions. Be a product of the product and of these principles. So I'll stop with that. Uh, my takeaways. Thank you. Oh, Ann McNeil. Ann McNeil, you can connect with me by texting the number 59925. And McNeil, you can text the number 59925 if you are interested in connecting for coaching or any of those activities, but especially if you're interested in starting and running a family and friends mastermind group. Thank you.
Thanks so much there, Ann. Um, Hey folks, my name is Dr. Peter James. I'm the high performance coach helping you to shift your mindset. You can find me at shiftyourmindset.com. And probably LinkedIn is the best one to find me at Dr. Peter A. James. That's at DrPTRAJAMES. Sean has stated, in the absence of goals, people are just wandering aimlessly. Say that again. In the absence of having goals, people are just wandering aimlessly on this planet. So I'm hoping you have been able to listen to Sean as he's identified what is necessary to get to your next level, to overcome challenges, but to be successful on this planet. Not just financial success either, but as he mentioned, living your dreams. And if you're not living your dream, oh, this is huge, right? If you're not living your dreams, if you are not following your goals, you're probably living someone else's. Just saying. Sean, pulling you back in, my friend. How do we stay in touch with you? How do we connect? What is the best way for our audience to get in touch with Sean?
Absolutely. So you can find me on the NapoleonHillInstitute.com. You can find me on there. If you want any coaching, I'm a certified coach with the Napoleon Hill Institute as well. You can contact me through my email, Sean at NapoleonHillInstitute.com, or on all platforms, just my name, Sean O'Hare. You'll find me on Instagram as well, Sean O'Hare _. So you can find me there. Just contact the page and you'll find me there on the Napoleon Hill Institute. So that is me right there on Instagram. You can find me there, reach out, and I am happy to help and comfort you all. Thank you all so much for having me on here. It is a pleasure.
Hey, Sean, really quickly, one more thing before you go. What's next for you? What's on the horizon? What goals do you have right now that you're leaning into a little bit?
Yes, great question. So there's a lot happening with the Napoleon Hill Institute. I can't give too much away, but as I said, Cleona has made some incredible decisions with the Napoleon Hill Institute. There's so many great people coming on board as well. So for me, I'm looking to expand this knowledge, to expand these principles all over the globe. So I'd like people to see me in their own country, in their own hometowns. That is what's happening next. It is on, the decision has been made. It is coming to you. It is coming to all the people all over the world. Think and Grow Rich, the Napoleon Hill Institute, and there's a lot happening. So I look forward to reaching out to more people all across the world.
Good stuff, Sean. Thank you so much for being a phenomenal guest. Those of you who are watching and listening on YouTube or even here on Zoom, thank you so much for another great Saturday of Think and Grow Rich. This time we went into decision and we had the phenomenal guest, Sean O'Hara, with us as well. Please be safe. Please visit us same time, same channel every Saturday morning. Look forward to seeing you there. And in the meantime, continue to think and grow rich. Take care now.